going to start in about 1 minute. Just going to wait for a few more people to enter the Zoom. Okay, everybody, I think we're going to start. So thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Emily Lightstone, and I am an Aliyah coordinator at the Jerusalem Municipality. I'm here along with my colleagues Michal Cohn and Gabi Danieli. I hope that everybody is staying safe and okay as much as possible emotionally during this very difficult time. We've decided to arrange a Zoom with a Homefront command representative, Yechiel Greenblum, who will be talking about the different security instructions that may be a little bit different from the past and certainly from October 7th, from those of you who have been here since. So we think it's very important for everybody to be informed and updated. So this Zoom will really be about the Homefront command instructions. Any questions that are really more related to the Jerusalem municipality will not be answered in this Zoom. We will put our contact details in the chat, and you can email us if you have questions related to something else, and we'll be happy to get back to you. If there is a siren during the Zoom, you should all, of course, go to your safe room or shelter, and you'll hear where the best place will be. And we'll see if we'll continue or we will reschedule. But safety is of primary concern, so everybody just be safe. So I just want to introduce my department for those of you who are not familiar. So as I said, I'm an Aliyah coordinator at the Jerusalem Municipality, and we help Olim pre-Aliyah and post-Aliyah for initial integration and certain services up to 10 years after Aliyah. So the main 4 subjects that we help people with are community. So if you're not sure about which neighborhood to live in, or let's say you want local resources, you want to find out about a shul. If you are pre-Aliyah or you are within the first year, we also can help you navigate the different real estate listings if you're looking for something to rent. We have a special project related to that. So really anything community related. So that's 1. 2 is education. So for those of you with children in the education system, if there are any kinds of issues, you can turn to me. Again, my email will be in the chat. I will connect you to our educational coordinator for Olim or English-speaking mediator and can hopefully help you sort out issues. For people, maybe you have friends or family who are considering Aliyah. For people pre-Aliyah, I help people navigate the education system and can help register for schools and ganim before people come. The third subject that I'd like to talk about briefly is bureaucracy. As I'm sure all of you know who are here, that is a very big issue post-Aliyah. Any kind of bureaucratic concern, whether it's a biometric to Dat Zehut or putting the Arnona or utilities in your name, applying for a discount in Arnona, finding the right Ulpan for you, helping you navigate government offices, and more, you can, again, write to us. I think my colleague will put our details in the chat and we can help you figure that out. And then the last thing that we help with is employment. So if you are unemployed or if you are employed but looking for your next opportunity, we can connect you with a variety of employment resources that can help you find a good job for your skill set and your background, and for your appropriate skill set, I should say. So we're very happy to do that. Or again, if you're opening your own business, we also have something for that. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Yechiel Greenboom, who will talk to us about a very important topic. That's why we're all here. And just a reminder to write your questions in the chat, and we will answer questions at the end. Thank you.
We just received an alert.
Yes. Emily, this is Yechiel, and yes, we just received an alert. So I think that we're going to have to, I suggest that we will go to the mamad or the shelter, and I'll stay on, I'm going to stay online. So if it's possible to continue after we're allowed to come out of the mamad, we will.
It's not an immediate one. It just says in the next
few minutes. No, it's not immediate. Right. It's not immediate. And that's one of the things we wanted to talk about. So hold on. Let's wait a second.
Because as of this morning, we had one like this and nothing ever happened.
Right. So yes. So
hold on, Emily. Hold on, Emily. Let's wait another minute and let's see. Yeah. So it's expanded to Jerusalem. Okay. We're expecting to possibly get an alert within a few minutes, within three or 4 minutes. So Emily, it's your.
How do we get back to the call?
Booms already. There are booms outside of Jerusalem.
Zoom open, okay? And then when when the time is right to come back, then you can come back and the Zoom will be open. But we will.
If there's a siren in Jerusalem, so we're talking about 15, 20 minutes before we come back. If there's no siren in Jerusalem, then we can continue in about five minutes or so. Okay. Does that sound okay?
Thank you.
Perfect.
Could I just pipe up and say it just sounded in Jerusalem? In the next few minutes.
That's one of the things we want to talk about. It's the preliminary guideline and the alert, and the siren hasn't started yet. So we still have.
How do I get back to the meeting?
The meeting will stay open, so you can keep your Zoom open, and it'll still be there.
Okay, but I still need to take my phone with me. Maybe something else will come through on it. How do I get back in case I get disconnected?
You can go back in the same link that you came in with.
Great. Thank you very much.
Of course.
There's a good.
You may want to stop recording the message. The meeting, I mean.
Okay, so we're recording, and those that might have gone to the miklat. Okay. So thank you for having me. We just had a live demonstration of what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Just give me a heads up.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. So first of all, Israel has been at war for almost 2 years in what's been called named Mivtza Harvot. In those 2 years, we've had various sirens, whether it was missiles coming from Gaza or from the Houthim in Yemen, Taiman, occasional missiles, those of us in Jerusalem. I live in Neve Daniel and Gush Etzion. not far from Jerusalem. Occasionally we had sirens, not very often. And the truth is that most of the missiles were intercepted. We were familiar with the rules. You have to go to a mamad, you have to go to miklat when there's a siren. But at the end of the day, there were single missiles, and most of them were intercepted by the IDF, and we felt relatively safe. Everything changed a few days ago. Mivtza Am Kilavi, that started late Thursday night, early Friday morning, brought us a threat that we have been well prepared for and aware that we're going to be
Yechiel, you're on mute.
Parents named your daughter Noah. I mean, your sister Noah. I was born 3 months afterwards, and I said, "We're ready to come home." I said, "Not think of another name." Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Look at half the world has been.
I know. That's
I just want to see it. If you're speaking now, I want to see it. I can't
Yes.
get a picture.
Beverly, can you put yourself on mute, please?
Yeah, the Zoom, I heard the stories, but this is
The screen. Who is?
Okay, Yechiel, can you put yourself off of mute? Okay, great.
Okay, so how much did it miss? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're okay. You can
Okay, so we said Thursday night, early Friday morning, Am Kilavi started with when Israel launched a war against Iran, and then the threat coming from Iran that basically we can say we've been preparing for and been ready for started materialized very quickly, with the missile starting late Friday. This is a very different and new stage of the war. So whatever rules and guidelines we were familiar with, and even behaviors or how we reacted to the guidelines and kept to them, they're going to change. They're changing now. Okay, and that's what we're here to explain. What we're going to go through, we'll quickly go through the guidelines, and then we're going to talk about the optimal protected space, what we know as the mamad or the miklat, and the importance of the mamad, the protection that it supplies us. And that's going to give us an explanation of the multi-stage alert. Basically, like we said, a live demonstration of the different stages of the alert, and explaining that. The idea of this presentation is to give the rationale behind the guidelines, behind why it's so important to do or not to do whatever we're told to do when we receive a message, whether it's from Jerusalem Municipality or from command, what to do or what not to do. We don't always understand it, and when we don't understand the rules, we don't always follow through with all of them, and we don't necessarily know how to apply it to our personal or our family situation. Everybody has a different kind of house, a different apartment. There are different locations, different limitations, whether it's different people, ages, how to apply these rules to different people. We don't have a specific rule for each person. The purpose of this presentation, also to make us feel better that we understand the rules better. It will also give you the tools to be able to apply the various guidelines in your specific and personal situation. So let's start with the guidelines. Those that joined us a little later, so we were back from after the siren, and we're basically at the beginning of the presentation. If you have questions, please, you can type them in the chat, and we'll try to refer to all the questions at the end of the presentation. Guidelines. These are the current guidelines. I took actually a screenshot from a few days ago, but these are basically the current guidelines. I haven't had these guidelines in Israel for about 5 years now, since the beginning of COVID. Nothing is basically allowed. No gatherings and services, no workplaces. All workplaces are closed. Education activities are all prohibited. There are exceptions. Certain workplaces are essential services and are allowed to open. whether it's supermarkets, certain food places, medical services, specific educational places are allowed to open, specific dormitories receive permission, but as a rule, nothing is basically allowed, specifically gatherings. As hard as it may be, all gatherings are prohibited, whether it's for praying, for weddings, or for any other kind of gatherings. At this point, nothing is allowed. Not indoors, not outdoors, not in a miklat. We can't say, okay, we're all going to get together. We have a big miklat. Let's have a big party, whether as much as we want to allow it. The current guideline is that none of those are allowed. Even, like I said, not outdoors and not indoors, not near a miklat, not inside a shelter. None of those are allowed. All beaches are closed. The link to the Jerusalem, the guidelines are updated on the Jerusalem website, the Jerusalem Municipality website. The link is in the chat. For those of you that are not familiar with it, you can see the National Homefront Command guidelines there and specific guidelines for Jerusalem. You're welcome to go into the website. I'm not going to go into that right now. Why are we in such basically a lockdown? Basically, we're allowed to leave our house, but basically not allowed to do any of these things. Why are we in this situation? And that's what we're going to try to explain now. We're going to do it through understanding the importance of the mamad. Okay. Optimal protected space. That's a new term that's been used, that started being used in the past week. I'm not going to refer to what was before so much, okay? Occasionally I will. So if you're familiar with specific guidelines that had been, that existed until a week ago, so I'm going to refer to them and point out that these new guidelines replace them. But right now we're talking about the new guidelines. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we see mamad.
You see my screen, right? The screens. Okay. So basically, the best protected space is the mamad. Okay. What we see here is example of an apartment. We're going to talk about different other possible protected spaces in the meantime, but I want to concentrate on the mamad for those that have a mamad, a protected room, a reinforced room in your apartment or on the floor in your building. That is basically the best optimal protected space that you can get to. Okay, a mamad is a fortified, reinforced cement that goes all the way down to the ground. When we're looking at this apartment building, this is one of the apartment buildings that was actually hit in the past week. You can see that basically the mamad in an apartment building are built one on top of the other, going all the way down into the ground. And what we see here on the right-hand side is what the building looked like before the hit. And this is a different angle, but what the building looks like after. Still the green marks where the mamads are, it looks like something like that after the hit, things have been destroyed. What you see is things in front of the mamad. Behind that are the mamad. The mamad stay whole. They stay intact. If a missile does land near the building and explodes, you can see what happens to the rest of the building. The mamad itself, the whole tower of mamads, one built on top of the other, stay intact. Okay, and up until 2 days ago, I was able to say, even when the missiles were not intercepted and they landed and exploded near buildings, unfortunately, people were injured and people were killed. All those were killed were not inside a mamad. For whatever reason, I'm not coming to judge them, and they had their reasons, whether good or not good reasons, but they were not in mamad, and unfortunately, people were injured and people were killed. The mamad, all the people who were in the mamad, saved. That was true, I said, until 2 days ago, and we're going to get to what happened in Petach Tikva. Those of you who follow the news know that it's different, and I'm going to explain. Now, what changed since what I meant that the war changed on late Thursday night when we attacked Iran is that the missile attacks from Iran are different. The missiles are heavier missiles, stronger missiles, and the quantity. We're talking about quality and quantity of missiles that is different than what we're used to. Therefore, the IDF makes every effort to intercept every single missile. Because of both the quantity and the quality of these missiles, the IDF cannot commit and is aware that they cannot intercept every missile. Therefore, there's a chance that missiles that come, heavy and strong missiles, can land in populated areas and cause damage. The mamad, people that were in the mamad or a miklat, in a shelter, whether it's again a mamad that was in your private apartment, on your floor in your apartment building, or a bomb shelter near your house, all those people were saved. I said that was true until 2 days ago, until the building in Petah Tikva was hit. And what happened then was that it directly hit the wall of the mamad. On the next slide, you can see it was a building of 2 towers of mamadim, and the missile hit directly hit the walls of the mamad. Now, what happened was, let's start with all the other mamadim. All the other mamadim in the same building, whether above, further up in the building, lower down in the building, people in the all other mamadim were saved. People in that specific room, 2 people were killed in the room. Another 2 people in that building or close by building killed in that attack. In Petah, 4 people were killed. 2 of them were in the mamad that was directly impacted. Another 2 people that were killed were not in a mamad, weren't on that level, but they were not in mamad, and unfortunately, they were also killed. When a missile directly hits a mamad, we are aware it can penetrate the mamad, and then people in the mamad can be damaged and can be impacted. Therefore, the mamad does not provide 100% protection, but it is the best protection that you can have. It is the best. Being a mamad, being in a shelter, a bomb shelter, in a protected room that's designated for this purpose. These rooms were tested, that any missile that lands by and has a blast, what the mamad do is it protects you from the blast. I want to go back to the, let's go back to this picture, and you can see what happens to all the other apartments. Total destruction. Other rooms that are right next door to the mamad are totally destroyed. The whole building is destroyed. The building does not collapse. You can say basically the tower of the mamads and the stairwell, we're going to talk about the stairwell soon, holds the building up. But buildings nearby, one missile that lands in a place like this, even if there wasn't direct impact, the picture that we're looking at was not directly hit by the missile. This is just from the blast. The blast destroys the apartment, okay? It destroys everything else besides the mamad. You can even feel the impact in the mamad. If you're in the mamad, in the protected room, you will feel the blast, but you will not be affected by it. The mamad will stay whole if we're not talking about a direct hit, and the mamad will protect you. This is very important to understand. Unfortunately, the past few been missiles that were not intercepted. Not all of them directly hit apartment buildings. Some of them did, and they caused damage. And unfortunately, they caused casualties as well. Very unfortunate. And the best way to be safe in such a case is to be inside your mamad. Okay. Now, what do you do if you don't have a mamad in your apartment? Okay, so like I said, the best one is a mamad, a protected room, or a mamak, merchav mugan komati, which is a protected room on your floor. It can be shared by a few families. There are apartment buildings that have a shared protected room. And the option of, if you don't have one of those, then there's a communal shelter. It could be in the basement of the building, in your apartment building. There are people that have their buildings that have shelters, usually older buildings. All new buildings are built, including in Jerusalem. Every apartment or every floor in the building should have a protected room, a mamad. The older buildings have a shelter in the basement of the building that is also provides very good protection, just like a mamad. Longer to get there, and we'll talk about the time soon. Public, if you don't have a shelter in your building, you don't have a mamad, or you don't have a bomb shelter in the basement of your building, then there are public protected spaces that you go to. Usually, you're not sure where, you can turn to the Jerusalem Municipality, and they will open up and they give you information as to where the closest public shelter is. There are public shelters outdoors that you can get to. If they're not close to your building, then perhaps there's an option of sleeping there or moving to there temporarily, as well as in schools, educational institutions that have proper mamadim and proper protected rooms. There are other facilities the municipality can open, whether it's gyms or other matnasim, other buildings that the municipality might have open and supply. Again, if you call the municipality, Jerusalem municipality, they can give you information where to find one. In addition to real mamadim, the Home Front Command and Jerusalem municipality has opened up temporary centers, in Hebrew called machaset tziburi, a place to be that provides protection similar to the protected rooms. They have to be authorized by the Home Front Command. If none of these are possible, in other words, you're living in your house and you're in your apartment, there's a siren, and there's no way to get to a public shelter, bomb shelter outside your home, you want to get to a place called good space in the middle. Middle means far away from, not near an exterior wall, a place without windows. So the best thing is to go out to the stairwell, not to be on the floor near the stairwell, to be on the stairwell itself. Or if you can't get to a stairwell, you're in a house without an interior stairwell. Most stairwells in buildings are in the middle of the building. If for some reason the stairwell is on the outside of the building or on the exterior side of the building and there are windows, that's not a good place to go. Look for a place inside your apartment without windows, without doors, place an interior as interior as possible. If you have, instead of the reinforced walls of the protected room, if you have more than one wall between you and the outside, that provides pretty good protection. Okay, like I said before, provide 100 protection. We're looking for the best protection that we can get. So find the best place, know where the best place is. If you get to a better place, get to it. Don't say, oh, I heard or I read on the website that it's good enough to find the stairwell and that must be good enough. No, okay? It's a little contradictory, okay? If you don't have a better place, then do it. But if you can get to a better place, get to a better place. Get to the miklat. I know it's inconvenient running up and down stairs for some of you. It's not easy. But if you can do it, that can possibly save your life. This is what you want to do. You want to get to a safer possible. Now, starting from the top of this list and only use the bottom of the list if you have no better choice. But if you need it, then use it. Then go to find the interior room and go to there. Okay, that's regarding finding the optimal protected space that you can get to. I'm going to run through this. Hopefully you're familiar with it. The 3-step, we want to be prepared in advance. So you have to know, usually if you're in Jerusalem, once there's a siren, we get warning in advance before the siren, but once there's a siren, you have 90 seconds. So you have to know how much time you have to reach the protected space. If it's going to take you 3 minutes to reach the protected space, that's no good. You have to get there in time. Make sure you know how you're getting there. If you have to go downstairs, if you have to go from a different room, make sure there are obstacles in the way. If you keep things in the hallway, keep them out of the hallway. Let's try to keep the path clear so that we can get to where we have to get to. In the protected room, should be familiar with, but I'm going to go through them quickly. Make sure you have enough water and food for at least 3 days. This is not when there's a siren. You want to do this. You want to do this in advance and have it all ready before. If you have special food according to the family needs, whether they're elderly or babies or younger children that need special food, or any other special needs for staying in the mamad, in the protected room, make sure you have them in the room in advance. You want to have means of alert and communication, emergency lighting, flashlight batteries, radio and batteries. Okay, cell phones don't always work. First of all, you might not have cell phone cell reception in the mamad or in the miklat once everybody closes the doors. Best to have a battery there, batteries with the radio. Cell phone is working, have some way to charge it. We don't know how long we're going to spend. Baruch Hashem, thanks to the IDF, we have not reached a situation where we spend hours in the mamad and we don't have very long missile attacks, but it can happen. It can happen that a missile attack can last for hours or even days. So theoretically, we want to be ready for that. We want to be ready in general to have all our essential equipment in the mamad, in the protected room, and we want to that's the things in advance, but also when we're on the way, when we have a few minutes, we're going to talk about the alerts a few minutes. If you have a few minutes, get yourself ready, and be prepared to spend time in the mamad. Medical equipment as well. Make sure you have medical equipment. I want to add a few more things to this slide, okay, that aren't written here, and it's more of a personal recommendation based on things that I read over the past few days. Number one, take things out of the mamad. We might spend when we spend 10 minutes in the mamad or in the shelter, we go in, it could be a little crowded and we go out. If we know we're spending more time, if there are things in your mamad, if there's furniture, if you use the mamad for storage, spend the time, make the effort to take things that don't have to be in the mamad and take them out, okay? Take out things that can be dangerous. If you have bookshelves, or closets that can fall over. As I explained before, when the missile comes and there's impact and there's a blast, the rest of the apartment can be destroyed, and just from the blast, not from a direct impact, just from the blast of the missile landing across the street or down the road. Whole buildings were destroyed at once. The mamad stayed still, but the mamad can shake. The mamad can move. The walls can move. You can feel the blast. If you have pictures hanging on the wall with glass, those can go flying. You'll be safe without them. The walls will stay, but things hanging on the wall can go flying and hit you. Take anything hanging in the mamad that doesn't have to be there. Take it out. Take it out of the mamad. Remove it from the mamad, and make more room and make it more safe for you and your family. Those are things to take out of the mamad. You want to have more things in the mamad. And these are two things, important documents that you have in your house. Consider storing them in your mamad. Okay, unfortunately, with lots of stories in Petach Tikva, in Ramat Gan, in Bat Yam, in Rehovot, of buildings that were attacked, and apartments. People, as soon as home front command forces get to the building and they get you out of your mamad, they're going to take you out. You don't have time to go looking for things in your apartment. Your apartment, the apartment is destroyed. You won't even be able to find it if you try, but you don't even have the chance. You're going to be taken out of your apartment. Therefore, if you have things that you want to, important documents, important items that you want to store, now is the time to store them in the mamad if you want to protect them. That's number one. Number two, a bag to take. If chas v'chalila, God forbid, there is a missile attack that lands near your apartment, and you're going to have to be taken out of the apartment immediately after the attack. Have a bag ready to take with you. Besides the clothes that you put on when you walk to the mamad, have a bag perhaps to have another for 24, 48 hours to take with you. Food you'll be able to find, but if you have personal clothing or things that you want to take with you, have it. Don't have it when the siren starts. Have a bag of clothing, things to take with you, including your important documents that we said to store in the mamad, have another bag to take with you of things that shoes, clothing. People in the middle of the night run to the mamad without shoes, and then the forces came and took them out, but they were left without shoes, without clothing. You can be prepared for this in advance. Okay. Multi-stage alert. Like we said, we had a live demonstration at the beginning of this beginning of this presentation, and I want to leave time for questions. So I'm going to go through this, and then we'll go through the questions that some of you have been asking in the chat. If you have questions, I suggest you type them in the chat. You won't necessarily remember them, so type them. I'm trying to relate to some of the questions that I see, but we'll get to them at the end. This has changed, therefore I don't have an updated thing. You see a big red X because this has changed. So what are we left with? It used to be 4 stages. Now we have 3 stages. The 4 stages is new for the past few days, so some of you might not be familiar with it. I'm going to go back to the slide in a second. I have what I have already. I don't have the English one yet. I have the Hebrew one yet. I have the Hebrew one, but I'm going to explain it. There are basically 3 stages, okay? Approximately 10 minutes before, 10 minutes before impact, there is what you heard, the loud, when there's an alert, okay? Now the alert can come in a few ways. One of them is what's called CB, cell broadcast. It's special technology of cell phones that allows for emergency messages to be broadcasted. It's loud when you're sleeping. It's a scary noise. We're aware of that. And we don't always promise that that's what's going to be, but that's what we try to get 10 minutes before. It could be 10 minutes, it could be 5 minutes before. Don't always count on 10 minutes. It's not an accurate thing. 10 minutes before, you get a preliminary alert that a siren possibly happened in your area. What we had at the beginning of this presentation, we all got that alert, and we didn't get a siren. We didn't have a siren. Okay, so that's 5 to 10 minutes before the actual impact. I'm going back to this just so it used to be. Okay, it used to be the 15 to 30 minutes before. It used to be, we're talking about since Thursday. Okay, today is Tuesday. Talking about 5 days, and then the missile started Friday night. Very few days, but we had a few days where we had a 15 to 30 minute warning before the missile actually arrived. And there, half the country got the warning, and we were told to go close, stay close to the
Okay, sorry about that. It looks like Yechiel's service might have dropped for a minute and he'll be back on right now. Here he is. Yechiel, can you unmute yourself or I will take care of that.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. Sorry about that. I'll back up 30 seconds. So what I mentioned is that there used to be a 15 to 30 minute warning to get close to your mamad. We can't supply that anymore. Okay, we can't commit to that anymore. If you notice, in the past 24 hours, there were preliminary alerts, 5 to 10 minutes before the missile, but we didn't get the 15 to 30 minute warning. The 15 to 30 minute was based on intelligence information when we noticed the Iranians are getting prepared to shoot missiles. For whatever, won't get into details, due to attacks on the Iranians and also the type of missiles they might be using, we can't commit to that anymore. Therefore, that has been removed. Officially, Homefront Command today, hopefully with the English slide with the details will be sent out today. The Hebrew was sent out already. The English hopefully sent out. That doesn't exist anymore. Therefore, we're left with three stages. We get 5 to 10 minutes before the missile. We get the big loud noise. We get a notice that whether it's the noise from the cell phone, it could be on the TV, on the radio, through the Homefront Command app. There are various ways where this alert comes. Then there is a siren. When the sirens start outside, that's when we have 90 seconds to enter the mamad. Okay, so if it's going to take you more than 90 seconds to get to your bomb shelter or to your protected room, you want to start getting there 5 to 10 minutes before. going to the mamad or the bomb shelter, the actual time when you receive an alert, you have to be there within 90 seconds. Once you're in the shelter, you have to stay there. Okay, it used to be that you can leave after 10 minutes from the siren. That's no longer valid. Okay, when there was one missile or little small missiles from Gaza, we were able to do that. We can no longer say that you can leave after 10 minutes. There are just too many missiles. They come in a few waves. Just because one missile came, or there's quiet, or we heard the intercepts, we heard the boom, there's a good chance that there are more missiles on the way. And the only way to know that we can leave the room is once we receive a specific guideline that we can leave. Okay, so once we got an alert indicating to enter the protected space, whether it's a siren or the alert that says now you have to enter the room, you stay inside. You stay inside until you receive a message that the event has ended. Now there's a problem because, like I said, some people don't have cell phone reception in their mamad. We're aware of that. That's why it's best to have a radio or some other method, whether it's TV or radio or somebody else's cell phone or a neighbor that you know that a neighbor that does have reception and gets the message, ask them to come and knock on your door and let you know that it's time to get out. But don't leave your mamad until you receive a message that it has ended. Once you receive this message, you can receive this or a similar message from the home front command that you can exit the protected space. You can leave the protected space. You don't have to stay near the protected space once you exit protected space. We're always aware that we said that we're not going to get a 15 to 30-minute warning. Therefore, we want to be, that's part of what I said at the beginning. One of the reasons why we can't allow any kind of gatherings is that there's no way to promise that we can give you good warning in advance. And good warning to a very intense or bad missile attack, we don't want to reach that situation. Sorry, you can still hear me, right?
Yeah, you're good. We can hear you.
And you can you see the?
We see your screen, not the presentation.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, something just happened.
Yeah, we see your screen.
Okay. Okay, like I said, so people ask, can I show the alert? There are different ways that the alert can arrive. It could be a siren outside. It can be, if you follow Telegram, it could arrive in Telegram. The best thing is to download the Home Front Command app, and it says you must enter the protected space. Okay. Notice that there's a difference between the preliminary alert that says that there's a missile on the way in your area, that it might start, and then there's the message that says that you must enter the protected space. Okay. That is basically it from my side. The Home Front Command saving guidelines, there's the website. You can go on the website for information. You can get more information from there's a you can follow the Telegram of Pikuda Oref. You can go on Facebook, Pikuda Oref. You can SMS. You can WhatsApp. There's a WhatsApp number to get to Pikuda Oref. There's the Oref, the English Oref website, which is updated almost as fast as the Hebrew website. Can't promise that it's always up to date, but it's mostly updated. The English information is a few minutes later, but the English, you can count on the English website. You can call 104. They have people answering questions in English. Those are the different methods for contacting the Home Front Command. Okay. I'm gonna. Okay. Okay. That was the presentation. I want to refer to questions now that people asked. Okay, good. The question is, receiving alerts that say that there will be missile fire in a few minutes. It takes a few minutes to get to the public miklat. Should I go to the miklat or stay in the stairwell? Okay, so if you can get to the miklat, what's important is to get there in time. Okay, to get in the best place, but within the time. If you can't get there within the time to reach shelter, then don't go there. If you can get to the miklat, go to the miklat. If you're not sure, then stay in your stairwell. Okay, the worst thing is to be outdoors. You don't want to be stuck outdoors. You should try to plan in advance. But if you know that it's going to take you longer to get there, and you don't know how much time, all you know is when you're 90 seconds. Okay, the only amount of time that you can count on is the 90 seconds. The early warning, we don't know if it's going to be 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It depends on the missile. It depends when the missile was detected. Okay, that message is received once the missile has left Iran and there's some idea of where it's going to land. It can take 3 or 5 or 10 minutes to arrive. Therefore, you can't take a chance. Okay, the best thing is to get to the miklat if you can within 3, 4, 5 minutes. If not, but once the sirens, get indoors and get to the best place. The mamad window should stay closed. Yes, the steel window, the outer steel window of the mamad door should be stayed closed, bolted. When you come into mamad, you have time to close the door. I wouldn't leave the window open. Now you want to keep the mamad air out. Don't leave the door closed when you're not in it. We want to get fresh air into the mamad. We don't know how long or how many people are going to be in the shelter with us, so best to be able to leave the door open. If the window can easily open and close, and again, it's your consideration, but the window is supposed to stay closed. Okay, the steel window should stay closed. If there's a glass window that opens up like a wing, then one single window that opens on a hinge, that window stays closed. If you have a two-pane glass window that opens one over the door, that window is not safe to leave in the mamad. Just like I mentioned, other glass things, a two-winged pane window should be removed from the mamad in advance and put outside the mamad together with other glass or dangerous things in the mamad. Okay. A traditional mamad, there's no specific rules of how to sit. If you're on a stairwell, then sit and protect yourself. If you don't have a mamad in a room, then get to an interior room. Then you should sit. Don't sit across from the door. Don't sit across from the window. Sit low down. But that's not in mamad. If you're in a mamad, you don't have to worry about how you sit or where you sit. Same thing in a miklat. Okay. I can't answer regarding public shelters in specific places in Jerusalem. That you'll have to refer to the Jerusalem Municipality and get information. I believe the website of the Jerusalem Municipality has a link including information about public shelters, but the link was sent out, so you can look there. Yeah, I'm aware that many buildings in neighborhoods, especially older neighborhoods, don't have mamads or miklats, and that's basically what I said. Find out from municipality if there's someplace nearby. Even if it didn't exist a week ago, the municipality is opening new places that are approved. One thing I forgot to mention is underground parking. Don't go to underground parking unless the Home Front Command has authorized it. A lot of people are going to ground parking thinking that it's safe. Even if it's reinforced cement, the entrances and exits are not necessarily safe. Therefore, you can be trapped in there. Don't go to an underground parking unless the Home Front Command has approved your specific, and even if next door they approved it, it doesn't mean that your building is approved. If you don't know if it's been checked out, you can contact your building or the municipality and find out if the Home Front Command can come and authorize your underground. Yeah, somebody suggested here to type in ways you can type miklat in Hebrew, and and it'll take you to nearby. I heard about that. I'm not familiar with specifically. I've heard that it works. So you can type into Ways Miklat in Hebrew, and you can find open miklatim that are in your area. Call the area if you're not sure about your mamad, and call the area. The IDF will come to anywhere in Jerusalem that's needed. Again, it can take time, but contact the first person to call if it's specifically about shelters or mamads. Then the first ones to call is the municipality, but you can also call the Home Front Command directly and ask them, and they'll tell you if they can come or if they can, or if it's the municipality's responsibility. Should we leave windows in the apartment open or closed when we head into the mamad? That's a good question. I don't have a specific recommendation for that. It's a good question. If God forbid there isn't a missile hits nearby and it's hard and they're gonna have to get into the apartment, then they have to have a way. Don't bolt your windows and your front door and your windows and leave no way for them to get into your apartment. You want to allow security forces to be able to get into your apartment. If they're going to be able to break down the front door, then that's great. But if you have if you reinforced door and reinforced windows and you leave no way in, that can be a problem. There's no specific recommendation to close windows. Okay, there's no reason to leave them closed or open. Keep into account blast will affect more on a closed window. So if a closed window, not a mamad, a closed window, if you want to open a window, there'll be less of a blast. Keeping safe. We live on the top floor, right? If you go to a stairwell, you don't want to be on the top floor. Okay, a mamad. Okay, the mamad floor is safe. Okay, I didn't have time to show the video. Okay, because of the siren at the beginning. A mamad is built based on engineering that even if it's on the top floor, it is totally safe. Okay, it's a mamad on the top floor is not less safe than lower down. Okay, like I said, if there's a blast or an explosion, you'll feel it. You'll feel it, but you're safe. Therefore, you can go at best to go on the top floor. If you don't have a mamad and you live on the top floor, then the recommendation is to go down. You have to go down at least 2 flights. Don't be on the 2 top flights if you're not in a mamad. But if you're in a mamad, the top floor is safe. If you're driving on a highway when there's an alert, if you get an early alert and you have 5 to 10 minutes, try to get to a building, try to get indoors. If you can't, then stop on the side. Like I said, don't wait for the siren. Stop before. If you know that you can't get to a building, stop before, find a place to be, try to get behind a wall, try to get behind some kind of protection. If you're not indoors, you have to lie down on the ground, cover your head with your hands. That's the best thing to do. If a missile hits by, lying down and putting your hands on your head, it looks a little funny and it's uncomfortable. Putting your hands on your head will save you, will actually save you, and stay like that. Like I said, till the new message is received. Keep your cell phone nearby and try to keep and stay like that until you know that there are no more missiles coming. Until you receive a message that no more missiles are coming. Okay, who to contact? I already answered. There's start with the municipality. You can call the Home Front Command, call both of them, and see who answers first. Okay, the metal window in the miklat doesn't close 100%. That's not good. Okay, again, 98% is better than 90%. Okay, every protection here is better than the better you can get. But if your window doesn't close, try to get a handyman to come. Usually a regular handyman can help out. I had the problem in my house. I couldn't get it. He came, he oiled it, and it's like soap. It goes. My window opens and closes very easily now. He can grease the window. He can clear out the schmutz and all the dirt that can be blocking metal window. Same thing for a door. If you can't close and bolt your mamad door, get a handyman to come and fix it for you. Okay, that's very important. Like if there's a blast and the door and the windows of the mamad are not closed and bolted properly, they can the mamad is not protected. Okay, so get somebody to fix it. Again, explosions. Okay, see a question about the time, 90 seconds. It's not 100%. Okay, we don't promise 90 seconds, but you hear explosions before 90 seconds are over. If you're in Jerusalem, I'm near Jerusalem, sometimes we hear the explosions before the sirens actually happen. That's because there are missiles, and sometimes people, it's not recommended, but you might have heard of friends or neighbors that were outdoors and saw the intercept before the siren happens. First of all, you can't tell. People, when you look up in the sky, you think something is right above you. It's not above you. It's going towards Tel Aviv. It's going towards Haifa. It feels like it's above you. It's out of, some of the missiles are intercepted out of the atmosphere. Therefore, you will hear the booms. You'll hear the blast, sometimes before the siren, sometimes less than 90 seconds. Keep to the rules, okay? Keep to the rules. Even after the intercepts, more missiles can be coming. The missiles that were intercepted blow up and the pieces start falling down. They can fall in our direction. We don't want to get hit by those either. It's not like a missile exploding on our building, but it can definitely harm and even kill people if people are outdoors. Therefore, even if there was a boom, go to the mamad, get there as fast as possible. If you can do it in less than 90 seconds, you get extra points. We don't have a mamad in the basement. People leave obstacles in the lobby, blocking the miklat. I can't help. You can try calling municipality, but you have to work it out with the neighbors. Try calling municipality and see what they can, what they can do. Will they put out alarms via Shabbat-friendly radio stations during the week in case we lose and have to depend on battery run radio? As far as I know, the quiet radio waves that are on Shabbat, first of all, they're different. Okay, they're different radio waves. Some of them broadcast, some of them less. The quiet for Shabbat. Some of them, once a siren starts, so one of them broadcasted for another hour or two after. They don't always follow the same rules. In the past, years ago, when they had issues like this, so sometimes during the night, people left. They had the option to leave a quiet radio on overnight, and only to hear alert. As far as I know, that we don't have that currently. It's something that might come in the future, but currently there aren't quiet radio stations during the week, only on. Okay. Yes, they could. Okay. So the second time today, there was an alert that there may be a siren. We didn't get a siren, but then got a message that we can leave the mamad. Okay. If you've got a message, you can leave the mamad, then you're okay. If there was an alert that there may be a siren, then you have to be ready for a siren. A siren can happen. It can happen, like I said, 3-5 minutes later, but it can also happen 20 minutes later. Until you receive the message that everything is clear. Lately, basically, when they say everything is clear, they announce it for the whole country, that everybody is clear, including places that only received the first alert and didn't receive the second alert. That definitely can happen. We're trying to get better local limitations about how to get messages out, how to get them out fast enough. Like I served in the Home Front Command. I was in the Hamal, in the machine room where everything goes out of. They're doing their best to get the right messages out at the right time. What's most important is to get the message that the siren is coming. It sometimes takes a few extra minutes for the message allowing you out. Hopefully it'll get more. Hopefully we won't need any of these messages anymore. But as long as that's the case, let's follow the message, go into the room, and be patient, waiting for the message that we're allowed to come out. I suggest you open up a radio or check the Telegram or the Home Front Command app, and that you'll get the message of when you're allowed to come out. Is there any enforcement about gatherings? I'm not aware of that. That would be for the police and not something that the Home Front Command deals with. We have a Vada refused to let us close the door to the miklat since they claim we will suffocate. If you close the miklat for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, you shouldn't suffocate, but I can't vouch for that. Public miklatim should have some kind of ventilation system in them. I know that a lot of them don't. I'm aware of that. If you're in a miklat where other people are not allowing, the proper thing to do is to close the door. If you're in a miklat where people are not allowing you to close the door, then stay away from the door. Don't sit across from the door. Try to find a safer place along a wall. That's all I can recommend. But I can't help more than that. Not sure what the question is here. Municipality open, not aware. Okay. How can I get a technical question about mamad operations, possible fix, ventilation? Again, about slamming the baby, you can try calling a handyman that can try to do it. The best thing is a list of specific companies that fix mamad doors on the website, on the Homefront Command website. If you're not sure the manufacturer of your door, then you can try calling one of them. Sometimes it's an easier fix, and try if there's a problem with then slamming a door. If the door slams, there's not much I can help with there either. Also the ventilation. If there's no ventilation system, then the round air, the small air round vent doesn't necessarily let air in or out. Therefore, you should, if you want to have more air, there are ventilation systems that can be installed inside a mamad if you're concerned about ventilation. Yeah, okay. So the contact details for the Pikuda Oref can be found on the Jerusalem website or on the Oref. Go to Google. You can Google OREF, the Oref website in English, and there's contact information on the Oref website. I will put in. Okay, pretty sure that's the right one. Yeah. Okay. Just website in the chat, but again, you can find it on that's the English one. Oref means home front. Okay. Oref is a translation of home front. It's everybody living not at the front of the war, but we are some kind of front. We are all strong, and that's what Oref literally means. The back part of your neck. How would you say that in English? But that's what an Oref means in Hebrew. But it's used as Oref is as on a national on the national wide side. The Oref is the home front. Everybody, the whole country basically is one big Oref. We are one big home front. We are all part of this war. Am Kilavi Yakum. Part of this miftzah. We give the power, all of us, that we protect. When we protect ourselves at home, we're giving the power to the soldiers, to the army, to continue fighting the war for us and winning the war against Iran, winning the war against all our enemies, and God willing, bringing back all the hostages in a timely manner as soon as possible, and ending this war by eliminating all of our enemies. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm sorry for the delay at the beginning. I hope I tried to address all the other questions I can see in the chat. If there are specific questions, I guess you could do the municipality, and if there is a representative of Homefront Command in the municipality, so through the Olim department, I assume he could be contacted. And if you have further questions, you can ask them, or like I said, call the Homefront Command. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. We recorded this session. We hope to send a recording by your email, the way that you registered for the meeting today. So please be in touch. Thank you, Yechiel. Everyone stay safe and have a good evening.